Hi, welcome. Welcome back.
Just the big sigh, right? It's been,
We need it. We
it's
all
been a
need it.
couple weeks. We haven't been here in it's
I
like
know.
August that we've gone. Actually,
Oh.
I know.
Okay. So today's episode is called
Who am I now? The identity crisis nobody talks about.
Who Am I
Who am
Now?
I now? Which I mean, honestly, at this point in my life, who am I?
Who am I?
It tracks. This
Where
question
am I?
tracks, but actually, it kind of goes along with something we talked about last time because we just did an episode and we were talking about when you get out of a relationship sometimes and you're like, I have no
Yes.
idea who I am anymore. Like I
Oh,
lost
yeah,
myself in that
100%.
relationship. I did things, I didn't do things I never thought I would or wouldn't do, and so it tracks. Like having the identity crisis at different points in your life, trying to figure out who you are and where you're going and who you want to be.
Or at every point in your life. If you're
Honestly,
having like an identity crisis at every point in your life, is
I
it
had an
working?
identity crisis
Can you
this
hear me?
morning getting dressed to come here.
Did you?
Yes.
You couldn't decide?
And you cannot identify with this. You've said that before, but so I was having one of those I'm sick of myself moments.
Oh,
And then enter my husband, who we've established never gets sick of himself.
huh?
So I said out loud, I was like, he's like, what's the matter? I'm like, oh, I'm just so sick of myself today. And it was only like 7 a.m. So we're
Girl.
already having a day. I'm like, I'm sick of myself. And I was like, and then I looked at him and I was like, oh, I forgot. You never get sick of yourself. And I didn't mean it sarcastically. I was just stating it because we've well
You're like
established he
facts.
loves him some him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, well, I don't get sick of myself. I don't get sick of myself, but I get sick of me when you're sick of me. And I was like, that tracks too. I'm like, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was like duly noted and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes. So, and we've talked about this before about like healing is messy, but everyone talks about growth like it's a clean kind of inspiring thing. Like you heal and you evolve and you become this like better version of yourself.
Mm.
But nobody really talks about the part where you look around your life and think, who is I?
Hmm.
Who am I?
Yes.
And
Or
that,
how did I get here?
yes,
Hmm.
we know how we got here. The road was ugly. It was not a good time.
It is messy.
Yeah,
Let's just
no,
be
we
real.
know. We're trying to forget how we got here,
Hmm.
but just like who I am now that I'm here. Um, because things that used to fit don't anymore.
Right.
The way you used to show up, it doesn't feel right anymore. And now you're in this like weird in between where you're not who you were, but you don't fully know who you are yet. And that can
Hmm.
feel really unsettling,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, what does identity loss actually look like, right? So, your identity is this internal sense of who you are, and that's usually kind of with you always. But our point today is that it doesn't stay consistent. And that's the real reality of life is that who you think you are, or this internal stability sense of yourself, it doesn't actually stay the whole time. It doesn't stay consistent and it's supposed to get messy and it's going to change. It comes from, or its basis is from a couple different places. So one is your values, which sometimes are established when you're young and can change as you get older. So that can cause an identity crisis. Your roles. So when you grew up, who did what roles, what gender roles were around, who performed which roles, what are you told your role is supposed to be versus as you get older, what you establish your role to be. That can also instigate some of these identity issues. Your beliefs. And again, that could be religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, that could be beliefs about right and wrong morally. Those are all established when you're young, but can also change as you get older. Your preferences obviously are going to change as you get older, which can also push that identity to feel like it's off or changing. And then the narrative, which is the story you tell yourself, which I think sometimes is the one that sends people most to therapy. And that is the one we talked about where when you get out of a relationship and you're looking over the relationship and you're saying, who was I in that relationship? Because the narrative that you tell yourself, the story of who I am as a person, would never have acted the way I acted in that relationship or would never have said the things or did the things I did. And so the narrative that we tell ourselves is off. And now we are feeling like we don't know who we are.
Yeah, like when she called herself a lemon and she was not a lemon.
My girl called herself a lemon the other day. I almost died.
I did.
You
Old
saw me.
me.
You wait. I was about to react.
I know.
I jumped. And then you're like, wait. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. The things that changed. You want to know what happened to me last night? I had like a crisis.
Oh
Okay.
God.
So I've been like really on ice cream, even though I'm lactose intolerant. So I can eat Lactaid,
Okay.
the brand.
That makes sense.
They make ice cream,
Mhm.
right? Which is great for me because I used to love ice. So I specifically stopped at the store. I got the Lactaid. I was working hard last night,
Mhm.
like 11. I was like, I still didn't have my ice cream. I was like, "Ugh, you know what though? I've been so excited. I just am going to have my ice cream.
Give it to me.
So I get it out, and I open it up, and I pull off the vacuum seal, and I go, huh, that looks weird. And then I stick the spoon in, and I literally out loud go, no, no, no.
What?
No, no, no. Don't tell me I got the wrong one. I want an Oreo.
Yeah.
I got mint chocolate chip.
Oh, you're not a mint.
Girl, I used to be of things that change. I had to turn around. My husband, what happened? I go, I need a minute. I braced over the oven. I was deep breathing because I was like, this was the final thing that just sent me
There's
over.
always a final thing.
I was like,
there's always that little thing that if someone else heard about it, it would sound stupid. But if you marry it to all the other things that went wrong, it makes perfect sense.
back in my day, I used to like, I didn't love it, but I could get down with it. And I saw that chocolate chip and my heart just dropped into my stomach.
telling you.
Yes. So why does this happen? Because it's not
Mhm.
random. When you start to like really do the work on yourself,
Mhm.
you don't just change your behavior, you're changing your identity.
Mhm.
And a lot of who you were was built around like coping, adapting, surviving,
Yeah.
being who you needed to be in certain environments.
Yeah. Playing those roles.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
call that being a chameleon. You kind of like check out what does this environment like need me to be, and then we like show up that way. Does
Yeah.
it need me to be the funny one? Does it need me to be the serious one? Does it
Mhm.
need me to be the inquisitive one? Like,
Yeah.
and then we can just like shift into that.
Yeah.
And so when the patterns start to shift, things just inherently feel off. And the mental health lens for this, because you know that's
Mhm.
what we
We
do.
do.
So this is called identity restructuring.
Mhm.
So you're not just changing habits, you're not just changing your behaviors, you're changing how you relate to yourself and other people. So for example, if one time you maybe mistakenly referred to yourself as a lemon,
Mhm.
you then get lemon nails to remind yourself you ain't never been a lemon, girl, and you ain't never gonna be a lemon. You wonderful. We love you.
We love lemons.
Yeah. So you're not lost. You're just not who you used to be.
Mhm. That is, I think, the struggle, right? So that becomes the crisis is I would have, or I used to be or do all of these things, and I'm no longer that person, which sometimes is great. Sometimes it's a benefit. If you used to be an angry person, if you used to react in rage, and you no longer do that, great. You have taken on an identity of somebody a little more calm and a little more reserved. So that's great. But sometimes when you need to react then in anger, there's this identity crisis of how do I react now? Because I used to be the one who would jump, right?
You do what I did. You turn around and you grip the stove and you take deep breaths.
need a
instead of
minute.
freaking the hell out that your ice cream is not your ice cream. That is what you
Right.
do.
I had an identity crisis of my own this weekend. So I was, and you know, this is like a hot button for me, but I was at a sporting event and at one point they switched sides of the field. So I was sitting on this like really beautiful, like, I don't know, grassy knoll for lack of a better way.
Not the grassy knoll.
I know, right? But I was totally safe. But I was away from the bleachers because that's where my kid was. So I just wanted to be like closer to see what was going on down there. So I wasn't sitting with all the parents, but both home team and an away team were all on bleachers on one side.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, the game is over and both teams do what they're supposed to do. They walk off to their coaches, right? So it's fine. And I'm still sitting there because I knew my kid would eventually walk out and we're going to go because we were the away team. We had to travel. In a moment after the kids are off the field, the opposing teammates' parents descend on this line judge who was just packing up his stuff to get ready to go and verbally just assaulted this man. The game is over and they are screaming at him. He doesn't know what he's doing. They'll send him the tapes so he can learn how to ref. It was awful. It was so awful. My identity crisis was, do I go say something? Because there is a part of me in my values and beliefs. I go say something to these parents. I go say, this is an embarrassment. This is not how you act. This is youth sports. What are we doing? Because this is my age group of parents and we need to be checked, right? There's a part of me that's like, you say something, right? And there's another part of my value system that's like,
fuck it.
You get shot. Like,
you get shot. That just escalated quickly. I'm like, no, I'm of the mind of like, can't help people, don't want to help themselves. I'm not going to waste my time. You're over here like, we're going to get a cap busted in our ass. Like, what, girl, what? We are in suburbia. You think you're going to get shot?
If you think suburbia is not crazy, you are not paying attention. Suburbia
The
is
shooting
crazy.
you're going to receive is an angry Karen, and her like misplaced words are going to come flying at.
It just gets out of hand. But like, there's this intrinsic part of me that's like, you say something. You say something when people are behaving
Poorly.
abhorrently. You say something, right? But then there's another part of me that's like, maybe you don't. Like maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that could be violent or harmful or it could get out of control. Or maybe it's not your business and maybe you just stay in your lane. And so you have this identity crisis of like, but there's a narrative in my head that says this is what you do. But then there's this other part of me that's like, no, it is not what you do. You sit back down, you wait for your kid and you leave. So that I struggle
You
with.
stay hydrated and stay in your lane.
Stay in your, but what's your lane anymore?
I don't know.
I know. See, that's the identity crisis. When you're young, you think you're going to be the person who makes all the stands.
I still kind of am, and I die on a lot of hills.
Yes.
I love
You
a
need to
good.
listen to that song, by the way. But
I like to.
sidebar.
I love a good. Give him the what for. We went out to dinner and we had like, my dad doesn't complain a lot, but his sister was visiting. So we all went out to dinner. Everybody got their meal and she didn't.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, it's because her pierogies take long. Girl, it was not the pierogies. We were done our meal. They forgot and they lied. So my dad scooches the chair back. It goes, he disappears. Nobody knows. He says nothing. He's
Okay.
silent. He comes back. I go, did you just give him the what for? He goes, yes, I did. And I said, I love a good what for.
I am never a what for restaurant person.
Oh,
I know that drives
so,
me nuts.
So then the manager came back and was like, where's the, did this. And I was like, this is what I said to her. And, I gave myself permission to just be a human being in that moment because I felt, what is in line with my values? I'm not going to rip this woman apart, but I'm going to give her a what for. So I just said, it's the lying for me that did it.
Did not.
Yes, I did. I was like, if you forgot the meal, no big deal. We know you forgot the meal, but it was the lying. It was really the lying.
You will stand your ground in a restaurant.
Girl, I'll stand my ground anywhere.
And I love that because I won't do it in a restaurant, but I'm about to go 10 toes deep with 35 other parents and just, we veered. We're aware of it.
I'm not telling you we veered.
We veered a little.
Follow the thread. We're like a kite flapping it. We're dangling, like you guys are dangling on the end of a kite and we're just like,
I got fish and pole. There's fly fishing. You just throw in that shit lands wherever it's going to land. It is what it is.
That's how we are. We are the emotional fly fishers. You're welcome.
All right. So we learned a new word today in this social identity crisis, which was, and I'm going to say it wrong. So adolescence is the time in which you go through puberty and all these changes and you have a whole bunch of identity changes. And how would you say it? Okay. Matrience. Adolescence. No, matrience. How would you say it? If it was supposed to, it's like the end of adolescence, but you put matria, like for being a
matriescence.
Yes, I think that sounds better. Yeah, that's how you say it, Gold Star.
Thank you.
So that is the time in which you have children. And so the identity shifts, the value shifts, the beliefs that all change when you have kids. So this is probably one of the biggest identity crises for women to go through because, we both have been through this, you have ideas as to what you're going to do for education maybe, or what you're going to do for your career. And then you have a child and you think, yeah, I'm going to do all those things while I have my kids. Like I'm going to do all those things, or at least a lot of times that's part of the plan. And then things change, right? You want to be home for sporting events or 3:00 soccer games that happen in middle schools and high schools where you've got to be there at 3:00. Or you want to make school chorus concerts or Valentine's Day.
You actually don't want to make those. No one does.
It's really hot in those rooms.
But also it sounds terrible.
She's just kidding. You all sound amazing. But so your beliefs, your values about your career, sometimes your goals. And then there's also crises sometimes when you're really trying to stay true to some of your own goals. I've had women who I've worked with who, will come in and they'll talk about the fact that they really want to take these amazing job opportunities, but there's a lot of travel and they will be home less and they will not be there for dinner time a lot, or they will miss, certain events. And so these crises of where do I want to be and this guilt of where should my time and my focus be causes a lot of mini crises when you become a parent, not just for women, for men too.
Honestly, I think for me, when that happened, it was a major identity crisis because I was so young.
Right.
I was like 21. So I'm trying to grapple with the identity of a 21-year-old that is also going to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like my friends were in one lane and then I was in solo lane. And like those lanes don't really converge super well.
They have a hard time understanding each other.
Yeah. So they kind of like just stay on their separate and maybe we reunite later. So I was trying to like, in this lane, but how could I be in this lane? And I had no idea. It was like, ducks in a row. I saw the sticker. It was like, I have pigeons and they had a rave. I was like, that's so true.
That's motherhood on a daily basis.
That's so true.
But one of the things I read in researching this topic is that, and it was a good point. They talk about, for women, there's so much we can read and talk to each other about, and we get educated by doctors about getting pregnant or trying to get pregnant. and trying to conceive. And then we get lots of education while we're pregnant, right? And having healthy pregnancies. And then we get lots of education on childbirth. But there's not much about what it does when you become a mom. Like,
I got miseducation because I'll tell you what, they were like, "Oh, you have a tilted uterus. It just means it's going to be hard for you to get pregnant."
will you banked on that?
No, I was on birth control. So we had two things going against us, and yet here we are.
Mm-hmm. And Aiden, you're amazing.
Love you.
Call your mom.
Call your mom when you get hit by a car in a crosswalk.
What the heck?
So what starts to feel different? You start noticing, and I think becoming aware of things, which just happens, I think, organically when you're healing. So things that used to feel normal feel draining. Conversations you used to tolerate, you can't anymore. Roles you used to play don't fit. I always say to people, it's kind of like you have a size 8 shoe and you're trying to squeeze into a 5.5. Like that shit just not going to work. Stop. It's going to be uncomfortable for everyone.
Yep.
Okay. And then there's this like subtle shift that you're less available for things that don't feel right. But you haven't fully built what does feel right for you.
Yeah.
That really hit. That slaps.
Yep.
You
for
know,
me,
that
fits.
just really slaps. And I think one of the other things you said of identity crisis is I'm essentially an empty nester. And again, right, but I'm also a very young empty nester. So it's whack. Like one of my friends, my close friend, she has 2 children, like 2 and a newborn.
Yeah.
So again, we have that like we on wildly different paths. Like I'm over here an empty nester, like doing all the things.
She tells me that she's like, I'm at this Lululemon thing, and I'm like, girl, I am sitting on the sidelines 2.5 hours away from home.
I got so much free merch. It was so great. It was the highlight of my life. It felt like Christmas.
But it is re-identifying, right? A whole new identity. You're like, I fit in that mom mode and I did all the things.
Now who am I?
Yes, absolutely.
If I'm not, it was really hard for me when he left because I had him so young. We like grew up together that I was like, I literally don't know a life without him always being here. Like, I don't even know what that's like. So it can feel like disconnection and restlessness and something is off. And it's not that nothing fits except the size 5 shoe. It's that what used to fit a size 5 shoe fit you at some point. You were at some point a size 5. It just doesn't anymore because you've grown. Because you now
we different now.
You now grown. And so the system is wired to prefer familiar over unfamiliar. And a lot of people will say that, like, oh, I like doing it because it's comfortable. I'm like, no. We ain't doing it because it's comfortable. We doing it because it's familiar. Those are two. Comfort and familiarity are two very different things.
And that's a trap. That comfort trap sometimes is big.
Yeah, because you're not missing your old self. You're essentially missing the certainty of it.
So how to find yourself again. We're in identity crisis. Things are changing. We want to do some work. We want to figure out, okay, well, I thought I was one person. I've been changing over the years. Who am I now? Like, how do I establish this? One of the things you actually can do this is something that you work through in therapy a great deal. Because, I mean, what other reason sometimes to send you to therapy than I have no idea who I am anymore. Rework and redefine your current values. So start by, and you can put a piece of paper, use your phone, journals, but just start again with, well, what is important to me now? If we understand that things change and we shift constantly as we get older, start again with what I know now, what's important to me now. A lot of people will have this talk with religion, believe it or not. They will be like, well, that was kind of given to me as a child and I grew up with it and it was very important in my childhood, but I'm trying to figure out what it means for me now. Because if you challenge yourself, just to use that example of religion, and if you say, okay, well, present tense today, what does it mean to me as an adult with the experiences that I've had? Do I still lean on it? Do I still need it? Do I feel connected to it? So redefine your values and your beliefs and your self-narrative now as an adult and start there, because you are always going to change. Your identity crises will pop up, but it just means there's change. And confront the change, take a look at it, learn from it, and then reestablish what your values and your beliefs are today.
Yeah. And I think, going on that, like, I don't think it has to happen all at once. I think you can start really small. So it might be like, not who am I today? That's like existential dread, but like what feels right for me right now. Right. And sometimes, like, at least for me, it's like I can feel it in my body. I'm like, ooh, this ain't it. Like, this doesn't feel right for me, or what doesn't feel like me anymore.
Yeah.
Where am I forcing something that maybe no longer fits? So you just need like small, honest adjustments. It's kind of like what we said, like the actual cool girl. It's not that she doesn't have needs. It's just that she's honest and clear
Mhm.
about them. And that's like building your internal alignment in real
Mhm.
time, which is like value based living.
Yeah.
So it's getting your words, the shit I'm saying is important to me,
Right.
in line with your behavior. Because a lot of times our words be saying one thing, you can't see
Mhm.
my hand, but our behavior saying another, and we
Yep.
get pulled like this. So
Mhm.
we want to get your words, your behavior
Right.
in doing
And
field claps.
that is actually a perfect analogy of the identity crisis. Think of it in terms of if you're maybe in your 20s and you're like, the people that I'm hanging out with don't speak, talk, or act like I feel like I want to be speaking and talking and acting and behaving.
Mhm.
So, right, your thoughts and what you're saying is going one way and your behaviors are going other. And so that identity crisis then sits in the middle because really, if you want to align yourself with people who are more aligned with your values and beliefs, your behaviors need to now shift and
Correct.
make that go in the same direction. And so you're having an identity crisis. Sometimes that is the split, is that what I'm thinking and what I'm doing are two different things.
When we have clarity around our values, they can help steer this. But a lot of times we're in a crisis because I'm like, I don't know what I valued. Like somebody told me kindness when I was 5, so I
Right.
put that on a shelf, and
Hmm.
here we are.
Right.
So yeah, we should do an episode on that.
Okay. Put on the list.
All right, nearly normies.
Oh,
I love the surprised look.
I
Don't
know.
we all?
I know. I mean, it's going to get so much better. But check us out on all of our social media platforms. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube, where you can watch our episodes there, and you can see us reenact all this stuff. So if you've been listening and you haven't been able to see our facial
You're missing
expressions or
out.
our hands or us mess with the microphones, please check us out on YouTube. And you can hit us up on our website, which is brand new, and you can interact with us and send us any information or any ideas for topics that you would like. So hit us up at Nearly Normal Podcasts website.
.com.
.com.
You're like, website. They're like, what's the website, girl?
I feel, isn't that like, I mean,
No.
don't you know by now? No.
No.
Okay. All
It could
right.
be .org,
Oh, right. Yes. You're
.edu. We teaching you. Okay. Until next time, stay nearly normal.